Talktainment Radio Worldwide South. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of Talktainmentradio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Alrighty, good morning, and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, and you are listening to The Compensatory Concept with Neely Fuller Jr. He is on the line. We got a big show together, so let's first start off by saying good morning, Mr. Fuller, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
All righty, very good. If you would like to get in contact with the show, you can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766, and we will get you on, or try to get you on. Also, you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will try to read your emails, but I will say this. When you do write me, please do not write a book. Some of these are a little bit too long, and we really don't have the time to do that. So just really kind of get to your question. You don't have to give any background. Just get to your question so Mr. Fuller can answer your question, and then he will be happy to do that. Let's start off by doing this. As you know, this show is not rehearsed. It's live right off the cuff, which is just the way that Mr. Neely Fuller likes it. So let's get right to it. I did receive a Gmail, and it just says this, starting off here, that remember that Mr. Fuller has been discussing how you can get his book, where the site to get the book at, and there's been some things going on which Mr. Fuller did not elaborate on. But I did have an email here. I vetted it as much as I possibly could. This is the first time that Neely Fuller is hearing this, and I will have him address this if he would like to. It says, I noticed that Mr. Fuller had started to discuss how people on the internet are using his name and or, my phone is darkening up here, and or the book to, let's see here, let's get the light here. Wow. It's almost like I have on sunglasses here. No, I don't want that. This is what I want here. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's do this. I noticed that Mr. Fuller had started to discuss how people on the internet are using his name and or title of the book for illegitimate purposes. Mr. Fuller suspects the racist white supremacists. The truth of the matter is that now that that there are non-white people on the internet using the name Neely Fuller Jr. to lure people to come to their website as they somehow have affiliated with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. They have used the name Neely Fuller Jr. to open an account on a certain website, or I might as well say it, on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Someone even bought a domain name, Neely Fuller, but I think Mr. Fuller has gotten that one back. These people are loading material on the internet that is totally against the United Independent Compensatory Code and what Mr. Fuller teaches. For instance, they have a non-white male and female on there hugging each other and listening to music talking about black love. Mr. Fuller would never use the term black love. There is no such thing. There's another person who lost a lawsuit he filed against his prior employer for discrimination, and now uses Neely Fuller Jr.'s name to open a, quote, GoFundMe account to solicit donations to pay for his legal fees, as if Mr. Fuller had something to do with him losing his career. Mr. Fuller is not affiliated with any of these people, never uses these terms or anything similar to, quote, black love or, quote, discrimination, and it certainly would never request donations of any kind. And they're asking us to please let our audience know that these types of scams that are being perpetrated against Mr. Fuller and to be on the outlook for them. If they see this nonsense online, all they have to do is contact producejustice.com and Mr. Fuller will get the message. Mr. Fuller has spent over half of his entire existence trying to help educate non-white people, and this is the thanks that he gets. Mr. Fuller, you care to address this?
Well, if that's true, then I will say that these things should not be done. I try to say that the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept is just that. It's a concept. I have a book by that title. In fact, an extended book called A Word Guide under the same title, and this is a concept that I present in books, and I direct everybody's attention to the book, the basic book, and the additional book, which is a word guide that's just an affiliate of the basic book. And you go to Produce Justice, that's producejustice.com, and other information you can get on this program, talktainmentradio.com, talktainmentradio.com, which is where we are now. And that's what I have to say, and this is what I'm affiliated with. I'm not associated with any church or organization that's connected in any way with the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept.
Okay.
Because it's not being about building up around Neely Fuller. It's about the concept, and people can direct all attention to producejustice.com. I don't solicit donations. I don't accept donations. And no one is supposed to be collecting money. I mean, in connection with Neely Fuller or the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. They shouldn't do that. Everybody stands by his or her own work.
Yes, sir.
Whatever they produce it. I don't mind people directing attention to producejustice.com or to talktainmentradio.com. That's correct. But anything else, I don't have any knowledge of. No one has run that past me. No one has told me about this other than just bits and pieces of information that I get from different sources, all over the Internet. I'm not familiar with any of that. And so I would just say, come to producejustice.com.
All right. There you have it. Those are the two ways to get the information. All these other ways, as Mr. Fuller just stated, do not do that. Either here at talktainmentradio.com or producejustice.com, and you'll get the correct information. There are a lot of things out there, and a lot of people doing things, so don't do that. Okay, I have a question for Mr. Fuller. It says, please ask Mr. Fuller, how can caregivers of young, non-white people help to bolster a positive self-image in a system of racism, white supremacy? I have young children and a teenager who interact with the majority of white people. They are negatively affected by the mistreatment they experience at school and in other social situations. How can I help them be as psychologically healthy as I possibly can? Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for all your insight. You are a mentor that I have longed for. And this comes from Marcia.
Well, I want the mentorship to be the concept itself, the counter-racist concept. That's what I write about. And I say that if you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. I've been saying that for years, and this is also prominent within the book that I've written, the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, textbook workbook for victims of white supremacy. I have presented that in the book, among the first pages. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. if you're a person of color. So that's the first thing you want to do. No matter what age you are, or where you operate in the world, anywhere you are on the planet, first thing you want to do is say that there is a government based on dominating and mistreating people based on color. And the name of that government is the system of white supremacy. You have to understand that, or everything else that you try to study is just going to be all scrambled in your mind. It's going to bump into this and bump into that, and you're going to be confused. You get frustrated, because when you get confused, then you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, you get angry. When you get angry, you're just all over the place, trying to figure out what to do and how to get through the day and what people are doing and what they're doing it for. But when you start understanding that the entire world is dominated under this system, the system of white supremacy, which means dominating and mistreating people based on color in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. It covers everything, not just some things, but everything. Then everything else begins to fall in place. And then you as an individual, because I direct my book to individual persons of color. That's what the book is directed to. Anybody who is classified as non-white, anywhere on the planet. You can walk into any situation. And regardless of your age, it has nothing to do with age per se. It has to do with understanding. So people say, well, I know about the older people, but well, what do you tell young people? You tell young people the same thing you tell older people. You tell them the truth. And you tell them the truth about racism, because that's the biggest show on earth. And so therefore, someone 10 years old can walk into any situation, be around white people all day, and not get frustrated and confused and angry and start name-calling or get jittery about somebody calling him or her a name. You become, with your understanding, you will know that under the code, the counter-racist code, which is what the book is about, the concept is about, anybody can call you any kind of name. At 10 years old, you can listen to the whole classroom call you a name, and everybody laughs. But you sit there like a rock, because that's what you become when it comes to that name calling. It doesn't bother you at all. Why? Because you understand where all of that is coming from. That's why.
Yes, sir.
When you understand racism.
All righty. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. You are on with Neely Fuller. Before we do that, let me give this station ID. You're listening to The Compensatory Concept on TalkTainmentRadio.com. This is radio the way it should be heard. My guest, as usual, is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Line 1, what is your question for Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.? Go ahead, you're on. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Yes, good morning. I had a question about the refinement stage of white supremacy. I was reading an article about the past census where I think 2 million Latino people reclassified themselves as white, and we know that Steve Jobs had Arab ancestry. So my question is, how does the refinement stage of racism work in America and the world, where people who are generally considered non-white can classify themselves as white now?
All right.
If I understand the question, the people who do the classifying are the white supremacists. In 1860, they said there were 3 classifications: white, black, and mulatto. Now there are 21 different classifications, including a classification called other. And I don't know what a person would look like who is classified by color as other, some other color, some other race. Because race is racism. First of all, non-white people don't belong to any race. That's something that the white supremacists said that non-white people belong to. The white supremacists belong to a race, the white race. That's it. There are no others. But I couldn't make that argument anywhere under the system of white supremacy, because the white supremacists would say, Neely Fuller, you don't know what you're talking about. I do the classifying. That's what the white supremacists would say, whomever they may be. They know who they are. I don't. But I know that racism exists and white supremacy exists. So, presumably, following the logic, it would be a white supremacist who would say, you don't have to listen to him. He doesn't make the classifications. Then that raises a question. Who does make the classifications? And the white supremacists, not calling themselves white supremacists, by the way, they would just step forward and say, I do the classifying. Whatever I say you are, that's what you are. So if you say that you want to go from as a Latino, whatever that means, a person that speaks Spanish, or a person who has what you call Latin or Spanish heritage, whatever that means, says, okay, you want to be classified as something else other than non-white? Okay, ask me for permission. Or if you classify yourself, I have to recognize you as being non-white. That's the white supremacists. They say who is white and who is non-white, not just on a overall basis, but I mean almost minute by minute, and where, depending on where you are. Sometimes they'll say, okay, I'm saying that you are non-white. I'm saying that you are non-white where you are now. But now if you move to another place, and I'll look at the place where you move, because I'll allow you to go wherever you go anyway. If you are non-white, you don't go any place you want to go. If you're non-white on this planet, even if you call yourself Latino, if you have color in your skin, you go where the white supremacists allow you to go. And then when you show up, they will determine whether you can be classified or reclassified as whatever they want to reclassify you as being. You can make your application, but you got to pass their tests. You might have noticed, you don't go to other non-white people and ask them what you are. People of color, it's always somebody white who will tell you what you are. Mm-hmm. Think about it.
All righty. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your call. All right. Line number 2. You are on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
It's sort of, my question sort of goes with the last caller's question about what is white supremacy, because I've listened and got the books and read them, and I'm still confused as far as, okay, let's say you take an Indian who has a darker complexion than I do, and they're considered white, or you take a Spaniard who has a complexion the same as I, and my complexion is brown, deep brown, and they're considered white. But then when they look at me, they say I'm black. So, in the form of white supremacy, is that really white supremacy? If they're not looking at the skin complexion, they're using some other standard to determine who's going to be white and who's going to be black?
Yes, that's just what I just said. See, once they start scrambling the classifications, like I said about other, that's a classification. Also, Pacific Islander. What color is a Pacific Islander? A person who inhabits or who travels to, I guess, like Marlon Brando. He spent a lot of time in the Pacific Island. I mean, now, as far as I know, he's classified as white. But what color is a person who is in an island or in the Pacific, on an island, person born and raised there, or a person who comes there from somewhere else? What color is that person? I mean, Pacific Islander doesn't say anything about color, yet race is supposed to be about color. See, when you start making race, you start saying, well, a member of a race is a person who wears shoes. So you are a shoe-wearing race. Now, what is the strength of the white supremacists? Confusion. That's why I said, if you do not understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, Everything else that you understand will confuse you. So they will confuse a geographical location with a person's color. When a geographical location, like you say, what color is a Hawaiian? That's a geographical location, Hawaii. That's supposed to be a place. What does that have to do with the color? You have to actually look at the person that you're talking about. Hawaii doesn't have a color. If you look at, if you go to a place called Hawaii and look at the trees are green. Are they members of a race? What color is that race? Green? See, the white supremacists, they confuse the minds of people all over the world so that everybody's trying to figure out, well, if I'm a light-skinned black person, what color am I? But I am still black. If who says that I'm black? If the white supremacists say that you're black, that's who. Nobody else. Nobody else can make that determination. They decide. They say that these are the brown people. You have an expression now that's been going on for some time. Black people and brown people. Most black people are brown. See how they do the confusion? But it's one thing that's not confused. And you can look at any chart of the races, any census of the so-called races and whatnot. White is the only one that's not confused. Stop and think about it. White is the only one that's not confused. When you say that, one size fits all. That's all you have to be. Not white semi-Mexican, white Indian, white, Calcuttian or whatnot. No, just white. Everybody understands what that means. Everybody understands what white means. But when you start talking about part Japanese, part Jewish, or something like that, nobody knows what that means.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Well, I'm still kind of confused. I'm trying to figure out who are these core whites? Because you take, let's say, a Latino, and they might think I am white, even though they don't look, as far as we understand it, they don't have the pale skin. They could look, under certain circumstances, they could look black, but they think they're white, like Dominicans. They think they're white, and they try to act like they're white and try to imitate white. And so if a white says, okay, we'll make you honorary white, as far as they're concerned, even though they may look like Michael Jordan, they think they're white. So as far as they're concerned, is that person a white supremacist? Or, like, who are the core whites?
The core whites are whomever they are. That's why I say it's a mystery. Oh. They are, I put it in the textbook, the white supremacists of this planet are the most powerful people on the planet. And they are the most familiar mystery on the planet. What do I mean by familiar mystery? That's a term that I use in the textbook, meaning you're looking at them all the time, but you don't know who they are. That goes to show you how great they are at being magicians. They'll say, in fact, you have white people, and I've sat at meetings where they have said it outright. Oh, I'm not really white. I'm part Indian. I'm part Cherokee. Like Cherokee is a color. Like Creek or Apache is a color. But they will say it with a straight face. And everybody will say, the black people who are present will say, oh, okay, all right, that's different. Rather than say, wait a minute, there's no such thing as part white. Wait a minute. There is no such thing, person, as part white. You're either white or you're not. So who are you, sir? Who are you, ma'am? Don't come to me with that part white. There's no such person as that. It doesn't exist. He or she does not exist. Now, are you trying to confuse me or what? Because there is no such person as what you're talking about. You cannot be part white. It's impossible. And are you saying? He said, "Well, I didn't say that I was part white. I said that I was part Cherokee Indian, but I'm a white man." More confusion. See, so in answer to what the gentleman is saying, he's saying he's still confused. You better believe you are, because I'm explaining to you how they do it. They will say anything, and you will wind up being the only person confused. So how do you tell who is white and who's not? You have to watch them very closely and see if they, under all circumstances, and that means you have to really watch that individual person, the way they move about in all 9 areas of activity, and see if they can go anywhere and be accepted as white. That's the only criteria you can use in answer to your question, because that's the only criteria I can use. I can say, oh, well, Pedro Gonzalez, you say that you're a white man. Well, that's what you say, and you might believe that, okay? But I will see how everything works for you or against you when you're around what I would call some sure enough white people.
Okay, well, caller, hopefully that will get you on the way to answering the question that you have from Mr. Fuller. And thank you very much for your call. Okay, Mr. Fuller, you're excuse me, you are listening to the Compensatory Concept here on TalkTainMenRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host, and you are listening to Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And if you have any calls, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766. We'll try our best to get you on. Or you can also Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I'll try to get that on. Bear in mind that some of these Gmails may not be legitimate. I'm discovering that there are a group of people out here that like to do different things and then try to take or give the credit to Mr. Fuller, or using Mr. Fuller's information for their own good, donations and all kind of stuff. If you see that kind of stuff, don't do it. The only way, as Mr. Fuller stated earlier in the beginning, to get information from him is go to producejustice.com. That'll get you there, or here at TalkTainMenRadio.com, and we'll get you the information. And speaking about information, if you would like for us to go those 2 hours, you need to bang your monkey. Bang the monkey, the GM here, Ed Dozier at TalkTainMenRadio.com, and tell him that you want 2 hours, and then we will see what happens, with that. And with that being said, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you would want to call. Mr. Fuller, a question from John Cano. And John, I know you're over in England. You listen, and we do thank you for listening. We're not going to do a road show, but I tell you what, John, I will try to answer at least one of your questions today. Mr. Fuller, he asked, white supremacy as a banking business requires trust. Do you agree that using the race and ethnicity codes as already in use is the correct way for non-white people to sublet or supersede the system of white supremacy?
I don't understand that question. What is that again?
He says, white supremacy as a banking business requires trust. Then he says, do you agree that using the race and ethnicity codes as already in use is the correct way for non-white people to sublet or supersede the system of white supremacy?
I still don't understand that question, but if you're talking about the banking system,
that's what he started off with on here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, the banking system is run by the white supremacists. It's just one banking system. You're talking about the handling of money or the value of money. So worldwide, the white supremacists dictate how all money is going to be used, who's going to have it, who's not, how much of it they're going to have, and what it's ultimately going to be used for, because they will see to it that it always props up the system of white supremacy.
All right. TalkTainMenRadio.com. Check us out on WCRS-FM 98.3 Wednesdays and Sunday evenings. Blogs and podcasts are available. Download TalkTainMenRadio.com app to your cell or tablet. We go where you go. Radio the way it should be heard. More of Neely Fuller coming up next here on TalkTainMenRadio.com.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is the premier internet radio platform offering 40-plus talk radio-style programs professionally produced, optimized for online distribution, featuring Columbus, Ohio on-air personalities. TalkTainmentRadio.com offers listeners diverse programming options covering topics such as arts and culture, love, life and relationships, technology, religion, paranormal activities, local and national politics, women's issues, alongside health and wellness. Listeners can access their favorite TalkTainmentRadio.com programs free of cost through the website. Download the TTR app to your cell phone and you can take us wherever you go. We have programs on demand to fit your schedule through our podcast. The address is TalkTainmentRadio.com.
We can give you a new heart.
We can help you walk again.
We can perform brain surgery.
We can treat a sore throat.
We can bring life into the world.
We can work so many miracles. But the one thing we cannot do is read your mind.
When you communicate with your doctor,
when you ask us more questions,
you reduce your risk of suffering a medical mistake.
Tens of thousands of lives are lost every year due to medical mistakes.
The healthcare community is working on it, but you can help.
Please, open up. Ask more questions.
What are the side effects?
When should I expect my test results?
Will this medication interact with my other prescriptions?
We can't answer if you don't ask.
Help reduce your risk.
Questions are the answer.
Learn the 10 questions you must ask. Visit www.ahrq.gov. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
Brought to you by Autism Speaks, the Ad Council, and TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
Goodwill is a global social services enterprise and the leading nonprofit provider of job training programs and career services in the United States and Canada. To pay for its program, Goodwill sells donated clothes and other household items in more than 2,700 stores and online at shopgoodwill.com. Goodwill uses the revenue earned from these sales to fund job training, employment placement services, and other community programs. The goal of the campaign is to increase goods donations to Goodwill, inspire an emotional connection to the Goodwill brand, and to elevate preference for Goodwill.
Supporting minority education. I'm Sean Booker, damn it, from the Melting Pot. I'm here to tell you that as the mother of a high school senior, I know due to financial circumstances, many of America's deserving minority students do not have access to a college education. Since 1944, the United Negro College Fund has sought to provide one. Since 1972, the beginning of this campaign, UNCF has helped more than 300,000 talented students earn a college degree. I'm Sean Booker, damn it. Give a helping hand.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You got the power.
Okay, welcome back to TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio, the world's greatest radio, and a radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host, and this is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And we are discussing produced justice. And if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can 1-877-932-9766 or 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and we will try to read your Gmails if I could vet it properly, because some people aren't on the up and up, as we discussed in our opening on the show. We have a question from Shay Peace Hala. It says, if a white supremacist says that a non-white person is a white supremacist, is that non-white person a white supremacist? And particularly, Mr. Fuller, because you said that white supremacist does the classifying.
Yes, but see, under compensatory logic, I can do the classifying myself, which is what I advocate that everybody does. I say that, first of all, if you start talking about race and racism and racial classifications, then there are three classifications according to the logic. That's what I'm trying to follow. I'm trying to follow the logic. And that is white people, non-white people, and white supremacists. Because these are political classifications, not actual physical classifications. They are political classifications. And that's the trick that the white supremacists pull. So therefore, the white supremacists, you have to be white in order to be a white supremacist. You cannot be a black person or a non-white person and be a white supremacist. That's a total contradiction. Now, even though the white supremacists will say, well, all people are the same. They'll say anything. That's another thing you have to be aware of. The white supremacists will say anything. They don't care what they say as long as you are listening to what they say. And you say, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Now they got you. And as long as you do that, they'll just keep doing it. But when you say, no, there are three classifications of people when it comes to so-called color: white, non-white, and white supremacists. There are no other classifications, period, sir. Period, ma'am. End of story. And you're not going to sell me on the idea that there are any others. I don't care how many you add on or subtract from or juggle around or shake it up and pour it. No. I'm saying that for my benefit, for my logic, and I'm trying to follow logic, the logic that came in the universe, if you're going to make any sense out of this at all and not be confused, and I don't intend to be confused, not for 5 minutes, there's three classifications: white, non-white, and white supremacists. Now, which one are you? That's what I will ask any person walking on the face of the earth. You fall into one of these three categories according to logic, not according to what just anybody just happens to come down the street says, because that's the way it is now. But the white supremacists are calling all the shots, and they're laughing at everybody because they scramble it. They're in the process among non-white people of even scrambling the sexes now. You got omnisex, trans this and trans that, and and recruiting everybody who has name recognition and say, get on board with this, because they say that black people don't have any idea who they are anyway. Mm-hmm. So you can just call them anything, and even when you deal with their sexuality, you can tell them what sex they belong to and tell them what sex they should belong to or get on board with. Mm-hmm. So, because why? It causes what? It causes confusion.
Yes, sir.
As long as you can confuse people, you can dominate them. Mm-hmm. And the white supremacists intend to confuse every person who has color in his or her skin about not only the racial classifications, but about everything in economics, everything in education, everything in entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And that's two big ones, religion and sex. If you confuse people when it comes to sex and religion, boy, you really got them confused. Mm. And they intend to confuse everybody who has color in his or her skin worldwide, particularly when it comes to those two things. And they're in the process of pushing that all the way.
All of the way. That's absolutely correct. Okay. Excuse me. I have a question from Chaki Moblevi, if I pronounced it correctly, and I'm going to read it just as you wrote it. Why is killing the most powerful tool white supremacists use? Period. Please make sure he understands the question before he answers it. I don't even understand that one, Chiki, but do you mean what is killing the most powerful to, or why is killing the most powerful to white supremacists use? I can't put words in your mouth, but I'm reading it just as you read it. Killing the most powerful tool white supremacists use. Please make sure he understands the question before he answers. That's how he wrote it, Mr. Fuller. Do you know what he's trying to say?
I think I know what he's trying to say, but I will try to answer the question.
Okay.
And if I miss the mark, he can rephrase the question.
Okay.
Because one thing we're not supposed to have is confusion. Now, I have said that the most powerful tool, generally speaking, on a day-to-day basis, that the white supremacists have is not killing people. The most powerful tool, generally speaking, is deception. In other words, keeping people confused. If you can cause people to be confused, if it's 10 people in a room, and you have 9 people who are confused about where the fire exit is, I've often given that illustration, and you have one person who is not confused about where the fire exit is. If the fire alarm goes off, and the person who knows where the fire exit is may be the person who set off the fire alarm, what does that make that person who knows where the fire exit is? It makes that person the most powerful person in that room. Everybody else is panicking and screaming and yelling, and the smoke is filling up the room and all like that. The one person who is absolutely calm is the person who has set off the fire alarm, and that's the only person that knows that the fire exit is in the basement. And that person steps forward and says, "Follow me." Now, that's what the white supremacists has done to the entire world of color. They have positioned themselves by deception, by using deception in all 9 areas of activity to have everybody following them, if those people have color in their skin. And this is just not Neely Fuller talking. Look at the evidence all over the world. It's the people of color who have their babies in their arms going across the desert saying, "Where are the white people? They are the only ones who know what to do about Ebola. Where are the white people? They are the only one who knows how to build the big, pretty ships that you sail on. Where are the white people? They are the only ones who know how to go to the bottom of the sea and get a grain of sand and tell you what that sand is really worth. They are the only ones who know how to educate my child. They are the only ones who can get me some desks for the rooms in my school, if I have a school. They are the only ones who even know what a school is. Where are they? We got to find them. Please direct us to them. Help us. We need jobs. We need an economy. We need how to run something that makes sense. All we know how to do is starve and kill each other.
Wow, that's very powerful. Wow. You are listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. here on TalkTainmentRadio.com. I am the show host, Mr. Bobby, and if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and I will try to read it if I can vet it and see if it's legitimate. I'll try to get it on. We do have some people that are doing some crazy things out there. And if you happen to be on the line when the show ends, just stay online. Graylin will get your name and the city that you are calling from, and on the next week's show, we will get you on. Anyway, let's go to the phone lines. And caller, you are on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I was just listening to the show, and he did make a statement about the most powerful tool is deception and confusion. And I want to say that he is telling the truth. It's because 2 days ago here in St. Louis was on the news, and you have reporters that do a report on new things that are going to be implemented and laws being passed. And this particular program and law that the governor said real quickly will be passed very, very quickly is called the NOVA program. And I think Kansas City has it. And the NOVA program is like a nonviolence alliance program. And it's a collaboration, I think I've heard, where they would no longer tolerate senseless homicides, violent crimes, and theft committed by small amount of group of people. And they're not going to allow violent criminals to ruin the community, the tourist attractions, which every city has those downtown, and families in the community. So they're giving you a choice. They're giving you a choice. NOVA is N-O-V-A. N is in Nancy, O, V is in Victory, A is in Apple. They are going to give the criminals a choice. And the choice is going to be an intense allegement offer of social services, which is involving school. They're going to pay for the school, vocational training, or, for career options.
Okay, excuse me. Let me get in here for a minute. Let me jump in. What is your question for Mr. Fuller in regards to that?
I'm coming up to the questions because it's like career versus going to jail. And for those criminals who continue to commit those acts, violence and theft, and they will be dealt with a swift, serious punishment, which they will be put in jail without a trial. And that's what I'm trying to come up with. And who will be affected more? Our African-American people, because some of our African-American people do not keep up on information, and they are confused. And I just wanted him to elaborate on that, because this is a program.
Okay.
He has said this is white supremacy, and white supremacy runs the show.
Okay.
People can implement anything they want to real quickly. We're up here trying to get reparation. They're on all here. So we're going to do it very quick. We're going to have this implemented before the year is out. So he's true, Dr. Fuller. He speaks truth that the white supremacy can put down a law quickly as a blink of an eye. And who would it going to affect? Our poor African-American people. And they have maps, Mr. Bobby. They showed maps where these crimes are. They have the blue and red and green dots. They know they're going to be infiltrating the satellite on over where they can hear over the, I guess, the cell phone towers. Well, and they're going to block it out. It's because all of these cities are experiencing crime in these cities, and it's affecting tourist attractions.
Okay.
Here in St. Louis, you know what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'll have.
I enjoyed your show. You all keep up the good work. It's a blessing to be able to call in and to hear such a informational, excellent show that you have, and you guys keep up the good work, and God bless both.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Fuller, you want to address that?
Oh, well, she didn't have a question, so. But if you're talking about one of the areas of activity, that's law. Well, the law of the white supremacists is white supremacy. So, it's a no-brainer that anything that they do in the courts and anything like that, if you have a white supremacist in there, now here again, I'm not talking about all the white people on the planet. I'm talking about those who have chosen to be white supremacists. So they do their thing. So when you have a legal system and the white supremacists are present, they are going to say this legal system is going to be about white supremacy. I don't care how you twist and turn it. At the end of the day, these non-white people are going to be at a disadvantage. All of these black, brown, red, and yellow people, whatever way you want to call them, if they are non-white, they are going to be at a disadvantage anytime they come before me or anytime they're in my presence. Why? Because they're supposed to be. That's what white supremacy is about. So I don't care how you twist it and turn it, shake it up and pour it. At the beginning and end of each day, the white supremacists are going to have the last word, and that means what? That the non-white person is going to be mistreated. That's what we do. We see to it that people of color are mistreated. And we see to it that we dominate them so that we can mistreat them. It's all about domination and mistreatment, mostly through confusion.
Yes, sir. Okay, you got a question here from, Harold McKinley. And he states this. He says, my question is, should African people be celebrating European holidays? Because I got a brother that's pro-black, but he and his wife still celebrate Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, stuff like that. Do you think we should be celebrating this stuff knowing that they are created by the white races? Thank you for taking my question.
Well, I'll tell you what I have offered as a suggestion, and everything in the code book, they're strictly suggestions. They're not doctrinaire. I mean, dictatorship. A person can accept or reject a suggestion as he or she goes along. My suggestion is, I don't celebrate anything. Why? I'm not qualified. I'm a slave. The whole world, the planet that I'm on, is under the system of white supremacy. What would I be celebrating? Don't celebrate anything. That's my recommendation. What you do is educate. You work to educate people and educate them how in order to solve problems. That's what education is supposed to be about. If you have a so-called education and you're not a problem solver, you don't have a so-called education. Education is supposed to be about solving problems. We just think of education as having a piece of paper in your hand and waving it at people and say, I went to this school and I went to that school and whatnot. The question is, no, don't show me your certificates. Tell me how many problems you have solved or how many problems you are qualified to solve. What's your track record when it comes to solving problems? Now, Neely Fuller set out to solve the race problem. That's what I set out to do. Otherwise, we're just exercising in futility. Now, have I solved the race problem? The answer is no. So, what would Neely Fuller be celebrating when the biggest problem on earth is still staring us in the face? Where does the celebration come from? What am I supposed to be hoopla about? What am I supposed to be having Jubilee time down by the riverside about? When there's everything to be done. Not some things, everything. Because nothing has been done that solves the race problem. People say, well, we've made progress. Well, that's like coming in at halftime at the football game. And most football coaches with any fiber, as the record kind of shows, most football coaches who are what you call real winners will say, look, don't come in here at halftime kicking benches and banging on the lockers and talking about how great you are. You got another half football game to play. This is halftime. And I don't want to hear anything from anybody about any kind of celebration when you're 2 inches from the end zone and you fluff it. Or, as a coach, I call the incorrect play. Duh. What did we fight our way all the way down to the end zone for? You don't celebrate until the lights are out and you've been at home at least 6 weeks. And then you say, I think we won the game. And not 1 minute before.
I heard that.
Because otherwise you'll get right down there on the 2-inch line and blow the whole season. And black people have got a reputation for that. Now, that's my answer to that celebration stuff.
Okay. 1-877-932-9766 is the number. You can get in contact with the show. And on the line, go ahead, caller. You're on with your question for Neely Fuller Jr.
Hey, hi, Mr. Fuller. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the question I have, and I'm glad you used the sports analogy. I've been going to certain sporting events, and I just wonder, do you think that, I think that sports is a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but I think black people should concentrate on it. I think we should be doing stuff more constructive because a lot of kids want to be sports athletes, but it's really only going to benefit probably 0.5% of all African American kids. And so my question but I see it more as entertainment for white folks. That's basically what I see professional sports as. So I just think my question is, do you think it'll be more constructive for us to probably concentrate on mathematics or any other kind of academic stuff, and probably leave the sports alone for a while?
Oh, no, you take in, that's one of the 9 areas of activity. See, the whole idea is not either or. That's the white supremacist thing. They will say, now, we're going to give you black people some choices. You can either do this or you can do that, but you can't do both. Well, ultimately, we're supposed to be universal people who can function with maximum efficiency anywhere in the universe that we happen to be at any given time. Even if you blindfold us and drop us off in some place we've never been and never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
The way we should be trying to go is that when the blindfold is taken off, we can look around and say, oh, I think that I can operate here. Why? Because I am here. And I think I can operate with maximum efficiency. I've never been to this place. I don't know what it looks like until now. I don't know what is what and who's doing what. And if there are any people here, I might be the only person here. But there are trees and there are rocks and there are waterfalls and whatnot. I'm a universal man. Or I'm a universal woman. I can function anywhere in the universe with maximum constructive efficiency. Now, that's the level we should be thinking at. In anything that you come up, if you mention sports, oh, I can do that. I can climb a mountain. If you mention going under the sea, the ocean, oh, yes, I know something about that. I can go to the bottom of the ocean and come back up, still breathing. Name something else. Well, do you know how to build a house? Oh, a piece of cake. See, that's universal man, universal woman. These are the aims that we should be striving for. We should be trying to be people who have never really appeared on the planet. That's where our aim should be. And we shouldn't settle for anything less. Universal man and universal woman.
Gotcha. Okay. I understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All righty. That was a pretty good question there. Really, really good question there. Well, as we work on and continue to learn, you always say that you're still learning, and to get your book, talk about that for a few moments and where we can get it at.
Yes, just go to producejustice.com, and you can get the basic book, which I had temporarily run out of stock there for about a week, but they are back up on site now. And go to producejustice.com, and what will come up on the screen is the method for ordering the basic book, textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and action for victims of white supremacy. If you don't consider yourself a victim of racism, if you consider yourself as being a person who has gotten around racism, or you'll never have to confront it or anything like that, or that there is no such thing as racism, like some people have called in and said they don't see any racism. I mean, people are making it all up, and racism doesn't exist. Well, then the book is not for you. But if you believe that there is a system of racism and that it does affect you as an individual or somebody that you know, then the book may be useful for you. But go to producejustice.com, and the method for ordering the basic book, and then the word guide, which is an addition to the basic book, is also there. Mm-hmm. And the method for ordering.
Mm-hmm. You mean method for ordering both publications, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, well, there you have it, how to get the information you need, and it'd be well worth your while to do that. Thank you, callers. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for all your help today.
And thank you, and tell people Do not send any donation.
Don't do it
anybody.
To anyone.
Right.
Okay. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, radio the way it should be heard. We will see you next week. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.